Welcome back to HVAC-Engineering-Techie, the channel where we talk all things HVAC, from engineering design, construction, equipment, systems, test and balance extensively, controls, efficiency, and system performance. These videos are intended to be educational in nature to help you with your career and on the job. Today we're going to talk about proportional air and water balance. This is the technique to actually be able to balance things proportionally. It's not hard, just some things you need to understand about it. So we'll get into that. But before we do, I'd like you to become a subscriber if you haven't already. It's a piece of cake to do. It's actually free. Doesn't cost you anything. It's painless for you, but it really helps me. So just push the subscribe button down below. Give me a thumbs up if you like the videos. Like I said, it doesn't cost you anything. It won't obligate you to anything. It just Google looks to those to evaluate this video. So I really appreciate it. Thanks. Let's get started. Balancing with back pressure effect. Back pressure is a thing that we have to deal with, and it's the reason we go through all this gyrations to do balancing different ways to limit how much back pressure affects what we're doing. So adjusting one grill affects the other grills on the circuit. So if you have a simple circuit like this, has grill 1 at 500 CFM and grill 2 at 300 CFM. And then if you balance number 2 down to 200 CFM, it's going to push some air back to this one. So the grill number 1 will increase airflow to minus 600 somehow or the other. It won't be a full 100, but it'll be a little bit more. And the reason is that increasing pressure will lower the total flow. So you've increased the back pressure, and that effect is to anytime you affect pressure in a system, you affect all grills on the system. So we have to be aware of back pressure. If more than 2 grills on the duct system, the increase will be proportional between all of the grills. So if you had 100 grills on here and you lowered the air on one of them, it will affect all 100 grills slightly, right? Because there are a lot of them. If you only have one grill, it affects it quite a bit. So most people who balance, which I call amateur balancing, I'm guilty. When I first started, no one taught me how. I just went out and did it in the field. They'll run into a system like this, and so they'll go out and start balancing, reading the grills. And so you read this one, and this one's, say this one's low, so we don't touch it. So we go to that one, oh, this one's high, so we balance it down. And then we go to this one, oh, this is high too, we balance it down. And this one's just a little bit high, so I balance it down a little bit. We go back to this one, well, now this one's over, so I'll balance this one down. Oh, look at that one's up a little bit, I'll balance that down. And we go in a circle 2 or 3 times until they're all balanced. Now, they indeed are all balanced, not a problem. But the problem is they're not balanced at the lowest pressure. So that's the problem. They're running around in circles when the correct way is to balance the system so one damper is always 100%. There's always one you're not going to touch. Okay. The issue is the method. It increases the total system pressure, requiring more horsepower to operate the system. This system is not balanced to the lowest practical pressure. And you see this all the time because people just don't know how to do that. And that's unfortunate because this actually takes more work than to do it correctly. So the first series we're going to look at is series air balancing. Now, this is not proportional. This is series. It works. It can be close to the lowest practical pressure, but it may actually take more work. So here's a typical system, duct system. The flex duct's in good condition. No kinks, so we know we should have good airflow everywhere. So the first thing you do is series balance steps is verify all dampers are open. You're going to do that for every system every time. You have to have all the dampers 100% open to actually balance the system. Verify the supply air fan is operating at or slightly over design flow, because we need a little more air to play with because we're going to back up pressure. Balancing will add more pressure to the system. I like to set things up 10% more than design. I like to have lots of air or water if it's a water system. So then we take preliminary readings of all the grills. We just go out with a hood and we take the readings. We don't balance, we don't touch anything, we just take readings. So here's our design numbers and here's what we read in the field, and this is the percentage of flow to design. So now this next thing you're going to do is you're going to rearrange that list in order of the highest percentage flow to the lowest percentage flow. And we make this list, and this is how we're going to start to balance the system. So series balance steps are, first we rearrange that list. We got that list rearranged. Start balancing at grill number 6, the highest grill. balance it down to a little below design, say 95%. And we're looking at that. These grills are all close in flow. I mean, if there was one here was 2,000 CFM, we'd do this slightly differently. But because they're all similar, we'll do this down to, say, 95, 90, 95%. And we continue to do that until we get down to about here. Then I would start balancing these at design flow. The reason is because we're going to push these are bigger grills. We're going to push some more air, so we'll stop pushing here. And by the time we get down here to number 9, that one should be at design flow or near, maybe 95% or so. Because remember, we're backing up pressure, so we're lowering total flow. So then, once you've done that, this last amp is your target grill, so you haven't touched it. You're not going to balance it at all because you need it up, not down. So then, if it's at 95%, then you're within your plus or minus 10% category, or whatever your plus or minus accuracy is. Hopefully it's plus or minus 10%. If not, you just have to put more air in the system. Then you have to go back to these original 3 or 4 and see if they're still in compliance. Now, if this one's at 112%, too high. So now you got to lower this one a little bit more. So you lower this and you look at that one. If this is too high, lower it a little bit more. And you'll be pushing this up slightly, but as long as it's over 90%, you're still good to go. So once you've trimmed these first 3 or 4 down, the rest of them should be in compliance. So in other words, if you came to this one and it was 110%, wow, that's still in design. You go to this one, it's 108%, then all the rest are okay. Because you balance these down to 100%, so you know you're within range. So this is called series balancing, and it works. There's no problem with it working. You still have one open. The problem is you have to go back to reread these a couple of times, and this looks really good in my little diagram. But, it's bad when this is, 10 rooms away. This grill is 10 rooms away, so you have to wander around to find that. But that's just part of balancing, right? So continue the grill's percent of flow. I talked about that already. When done, grill 9 should be near design flow. Then go back and check these again. Now, and to make sure that you're still within your design compliance. So now let's look at a comparison to proportional air balance. Same system, normal duct system with good flex insulation. Now, a lot of times you'll go to a system, you'll see ducts that look like this. So normal duct system with kink flex duct severely restricts flow. So you see them like this, where the grill is too close to the duct, so they bring the duct out and kink it severely going back there. That's not the correct way, and this kink does reduce flow. So the rule of thumb, if you go out and do a preliminary flow and you have a grill below 50%, you need to check it because it needs to be fixed. It probably will not come up to flow. There's a lot of times when you go around and do do a proportional balance and you get to 1, you just can't get there. And that's because you say if you have 2 grills you're trying to do proportionally and you do the second one, you have to push it down but almost close to get some air and it's still not up to design, then you have a problem. So if you have one that's at 50%, go look and see if you got a duct problem. If you do, this needs to be fixed. You can fix it or the contractor can fix it. Now, the ways you fix this, of course, is put it on correctly with a nice straight flow, or else if you have to go out, you have to go out and go up to get it so you don't have this kink. The kink is really problematic. All right, so let's go look how we balance this thing. So proportional steps. First, check all 100% open. Always have to do that anyway. Verify the supply fan is operating at slightly or over design flow. Again, I'd set it up for 110%. Take a preliminary read of all the grills. So we go out, we read the grills like we did before. Here's the same flow we got. And then we reorder them, but this time with the lowest on top, the highest on the bottom. So now we're going to go from 66% to 116%. So how do we balance this? So first of all, what we do is we start balancing by adjusting grill number 10 to its equal percentage that of grill number 9. So we had grill 9 and 10 are the top on the list. So we go up and we read 9 is at 102, is at 100 CFM. So we start over here at 100 CFM. Now we're going to balance this one down a little bit. We balance it down, close the valve to 76 cents. And this one was 67.74. And now we've balanced this one from 88. We've balanced it down to 67.2. So these two are equal. That's all we're trying to do. We're going to balance these grills as we go through and make sure they're all equal to the 1 for 4. So this was balancing number 10 to match number 9. This was number 9. We're going to balance it down to number 10. So then we go to the next one, which is number 2. So we're going to balance 10 to 2. So 10 is now, because we balanced this valve down, now it's pushed this from 100 is up to 105. It's up to 70%. So now we're going to balance this this one that was at number 2 is at we're going to balance it down to 69%. So now that we down to 100, so we went from 240, we balanced it down to 174 to make them equal. Now you say, well, wait a minute, you're going way too low. Well, no, we're not. We're just trying to make them equal percentage to those two grills. So we equal percentage these, and then this percentage went up. Now we equal percentage this one. We balance this till this one is also 69% or close. And then we keep doing that. We just keep going. So on the next one, which is 2 to 6, which is this 2 to 6, which is the next one on our list. And the 2 now is at 74.5%. So we balance this one down to 335 to get 74.44%. Okay. Go to the next one. That's 6 to 7. 6 to 7, and we make them equal percentage. So we got 78%, and we balance that one down. And you'll notice that this grill is coming up. It started at 67%, now it's up to 79%. So that's what we're attempting to do, is get them all to be equal percentage. Okay, so we go to the next one, which is 7 and 3. And we get down here, and now 7 is at 80%. So we balance number 3 down to 80%. And we notice this one now is up to 82%. So it's coming up. Our target grill is coming up, because this number 9 is our target grill. So we do the next one with 3 and 5, and we get it to 82. We do balance that one down to 82%. Now we do the next one with 5 and 8, and we get it up to 89% or 84%. We balance number 8 down to 84%. And then we go over here, we do 8 and 4, which is 8 was the last one. And it gets to 85%. We do that one. And then we do the next one, which is the ninth one. And we balance them down till we get down to the bottom here. And that last one is at 88%. So we balance the last one to 88%. So wow, we balance that one down to 88%. And now look, this one is at 89. The target grill's at 89. So we're almost same percentage everywhere. So we know we're balanced with one grill 100% open. Now the problem with this system was that one was severely low at 66%. Like I said, gets below 50%, you probably can't do it. But this one we did it with 66%. So the total is 2,151. Design is 2425. So we're too low. We know we got to go back and raise the fan. So in this proportional balance where we had this one at 2158, that was our resorted. So we know that we need to add, we're short 12.2%, which is 12%. So I didn't put the CFM down there, did I? So what we need to do is, if we raise the system, if we go back to the air handler, we raise it 12%, and we come back and remeasure, which we don't have to do. You don't have to, because it's going to be proportional. You've got it all proportional balance. See, they're all about the same. So that's when you raise the air, you add 12%, you're going to add 12% everywhere. Now, if you don't trust it, you have to go back and read it. Go ahead. I understand. First time or two, everyone reads it again. You don't really have to. Best case, just go read one grill. And if it's up, then you know all the rest are. So this one now will be 100%, 100%. They're all 99 or 100 or better. So you know you're well within range here. You did this really good. Now, why is proportional better? Well, number one, because now they're balanced together. 2, you just balance these two. You just balance these two grills against each other, these two grills against each other, these two grills against each other. And if you're lucky, they're in the same space. If not, you still have to walk back and forth. But you don't ever have to go back. And that's why this is more productive, because you can zip through it without having to worry to go back and see if, we're overflow, I have to rebalance these now. You don't have to, because you're doing 2 at a time. And this will always guarantee you have the practical lowest pressure. This is the right way to do it. This is the best way. This is the most productive way. You do have to learn how to do it, and you have to get used to doing it, so just automatically think about it. It's not difficult. It's easy to do. So this is proportional balancing. So now let's look at series water balancing. So we can balance water systems just like we do air. But remember, air is a compressible fluid. It's very light. It leaks. The ducts leak air, so we lose some air. Water is totally different. Water is non-compressible fluid. It's heavy. It's dense. And if it leaks, you know it right away. So it doesn't leak. So water reacts differently. It reacts quicker. And to me, it's a little easier to do. So this is a typical system of, these are all balance valves out in the system. So series water balance, first thing we do, of course, is we verify all the balance valves and the control valves are 100% open. So you have to command all the control valves open, so they're fully open. And then you make sure all the balance valves are open. That shouldn't be too hard to do because normally they come open from the factory, but someone may have closed them for some reason. Verify pump is operating at or slightly over design flow. I normally make it 110%. It depends on what you've got at the pump. Take a preliminary read of all balance valve flows. And you make a chart. And then you rearrange that chart with the highest percentage flow at the top and the lowest percentage flow. As you can see, this is 1 through valve 15. And you notice 1 is still the highest flow at 127%. And 9 has only got 45%. So it's very, very low. So we have to push enough water to get down here. So we'll probably be a little more aggressive on this one. The fifth step is to balance valve at number 1. This is number 1, and balance it down to 95% or so. Maybe 90%, but balance this down and continue to do that until you get down to right in the middle somewhere. And then quit balancing down to 90, 95%, start balancing down to just 100%. Because you realize we're pushing this water. So let's keep this down below, and we make these, and these are small, these are large flows, these are smaller flows. So the balance these at 90%. As you keep getting down, 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 we keep pushing this valve open. Keep pushing flow to it. Verify the valve number 1 through 13, verify they are not over 110%. So once you get here and you look down, and this valve's at 90%, 93%, this 45% probably won't come up to design flow, but it'll get close. And then what you have to do, you have to go back and look at these first ones that you balanced down and see where they're at. If they're over 110%, over your accuracy limit, then you have to balance them again and balance them down to 100%. And when you do that, you'll eventually push this up to what it needs to be. So now let's look at the difference with proportional balance. So the reason that system balance is an issue is because you have to come back and rebalance the original. A lot of guys just reread the whole field again and trim it one more time. It takes a little bit more time to do, especially if these valves are not close to each other. You have to wander around a little bit. It still has the target valve 100% open, but it still is not as perfect and pretty as a proportional balance, and we'll talk about that next. So proportional water balancing, here's our system again. And it's the same, of course. So first step is to make sure everything's open. The balance valve's open. The control valves are all open. Get the pump set up for slightly overflow. Take a preliminary read like we did before. And now rearrange it, but the opposite. Lowest on top, the highest on bottom. So now we're going to proportional do these. So the next thing we do, and that top valve is still our target valve. So proportional balancing, start balancing by adjusting valve 8 to its equal percentage of valve 9. Okay, where are they at? So here we got, this is valve 9 is our target grill, and valve 8. Start balancing at 8, between 8 and 9. So you've done that, and the 8 is at valve 9 is at 46%, so we're going to balance 48 down to 46% and move to the next valve. This is just like air balance, no difference. So then we got valve number 8 is at 46%. So we're going to lower the next one to 47%. These are a little harder to get to percentage with these small balance valves. So then we do the same thing. We just keep going. So we got 10 to 7, and that one we balance down so it's equal. Then we go to this one, we balance so it's equal. You know, we're not worrying too much about what's happening. You see it's beginning to come up. We're at 46, now we're at 48. But these valves are fairly small. So then we get this one at 56 to 57% close, valve 11. And then we go to this one, 15, and we get it 58%, so we balance that one. And then we go 15 to 12, so it's 15 to 12. The next one is 62%, 63%, real close. So this one is 12 to 13. So we see these two at 63 to 64, close again. Next one is 13 to 3. And you see it was 64%. We balance it down to 64%. See, this one's now up to 60%, so it's come up from 46 to 60%. So it's getting there slowly, but it's getting there. In the next two, we do 6 to 6, 65 to 64, 6 to 4, 77 to 71. Oh, this was a little low. I don't know what happened there. 4 to 2 is next is a bigger valve, so it's 81 to 79. As close as we can get. The next, if you go up a little bit, you bounce way over that one. So then the last one close 2 to 5, and the last one 5 to 1. So this one here is a small valve again. It's got 80%, and then we get the last one. It's at 89. And this big valve we can't get to 88%, so we got close to 89. So you can see that the small one now is up to 80.97%. So we came all the way from 46% to 80%. So we were able to push it forward quite a ways. So we see now our total. We balanced down, so we back pressured the system quite a bit. We're at 83.85 GPM from balancing it down, and the design was 98 GPM. So we're short 14.15 GPM or 14%. So we're going to increase the system by 15 GPM, which would bring the new total up to 98.85. And when we do that, we see that we have now brought everything back to where we have 93 to 103. So we're all within balance. Got here at 1 at 111, I didn't notice. We should have trimmed that down a one, but even that's probably forgivable. So you can see that the proportional balance brought it all in with just reading the two valves. And this is the way you proportional balance a water system. It's the same as air balance. There's absolutely no difference. It's just, you can set up and read, and then once you do this, if you know these are all in 90%, you don't have to go back and check one to make sure it's not over. They'll be exactly equal as their proportional balance between each other. So they're good. It's a circuit. This is easy to do. It's once you've figured out how to do it, you just automatically do it this way every time. And that's the end of proportional balancing. Hope that was helpful. Hope that was easy to understand. Thanks for being a subscribing member. I appreciate it. Have a great day. I'll catch you on the next one.